People in Iowa had the idea of establishing a program for creative writers situated within a public university. Over time, it proved itself in the quality of teachers it attracted and the distinguished graduates that emerged from it. And the model spread nationally. It created a new and unique relationship between universities and writers and encouraged an active and serious interest in new work among faculty as well as students. And it gave a great many students the opportunity to learn from and interact with practitioners of the art. All of this seems to me to be quite wonderful. But I have very much understated the impact of the Iowa model by speaking of it so exclusively in terms of its impact on the universities. There are workshops in high schools, in prisons and hospitals, in churches and neighborhoods. So many people want to write. Since there is a dismissive response to every observed tendency in the population, this can be seen as delusional dreaming of fame and fortune, though to apply the "if it were happening elsewhere" test, it would certainly seem to us to be beautiful and enviable. That old yearning for articulation of the massive experience that can only be put in words pondered and chosen with great care, the confiding of an inward life of thought that could by no means be given its density and particularity by any other form of expression. This is, to borrow a phrase, the voice that is great within us. We encourage therapeutically the exploration of injuries, of trauma. But there is a much broader interior life than mere biography. There is the very singular life of the observing, wondering, dreaming self, the self that in fact resonates with narrative and poetry and feels the potential of language to recreate something like the dream of consciousness, and to make more accessible what is nearest to us, the mind, the spirit. The impulse is profound even if the words it yields are less than profound. Who is not richer, who does not feel his or her humanity more deeply by making this attempt? Who is not a better reader for thinking attentively about the workings of language and the making of a poem or a piece of fiction? Writing is an interesting experience. Most people who make a serious try at it never really put it aside, even if they never find or never seek the approval of anyone. When those Iowans decided to create a graduate writing program at the University of Iowa, they thought their project would encourage regional writing, primarily. There was something utopian in the movement that began here to instill the arts with the seriousness and ambition signified by the conferring of advanced degrees. But utopianism was a heritage of Iowa history. It meant that institutions could be based on and could justify a more generous estimate of human nature than the past had made of it. It is clear from what they accomplished that they believed the practice of the arts should have an honored place in education, notably in a public institution. Their idea was too good to stay local for long. Students came from all over the country. And since even the most esteemed poets and novelists need to stabilize their incomes from time to time, the workshop attracted excellent visitors and faculty. Its reputation was established and its influence has spread not only throughout North America, but increasingly across the larger world. I have been told that a program in the Philippines, modeled on Iowa, is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. The influence of the program is owed to the fact that it is, at base, a very good idea. A true insight lies behind it. The workshop idea does, after all, depend on the willingness of a group of people to pay careful attention to a piece of written work, to criticize it thoughtfully and constructively, and to learn from criticism in their turn. It depends on a willingness to engage in good faith in delicate and intense collaboration. If the competitiveness that is potential in the situation becomes active, the workshop loses effectiveness. That this model has become so valued a part of formal and informal education means that this pact is widely understood and respected. And there is another crucial element. the pleasure so many established writers take in teaching. I was asked once if American writers do not realize they are training their competitors. The gratifications of pondering this profound, complex, and elusive art with others who value it and struggle with it seem a sufficient compensation for whatever they might gain by keeping their trade secrets to themselves. And the fact is that in teaching, we learn. The collaboration includes us too.